son, Percy and John, though I knew she loved one better, Percy the wastrel, the gambler, the eldest son. I think I shall always remember until I die her face that day in December, when in a hospital ward together she and I were writing letters for wounded men and dying, writing and crying over their words, so silly and simple and loving. Suddenly looking up, I saw the old vicar moving like fate down the hospital ward until he stood still beside her where she sat at a bed. "Dear friend, come home. I have tragic news," he said. She looked straight at him without a spasm of fear, her face not stern or masked. "Is it Percy or John?" she asked. "Percy." She dropped her eyes. "I am needed here. Surely you know I cannot go until every letter is written. The dead must wait on the living," she said. "This is my work. I must stay." And she did, the whole long day. Out of the darkened dearth of happiness on earth, out of a world inured to death and pain, on a fair spring morn to me a son was born, and hope was born, the future lived again. To me a son was born. The lonely, hard, forlorn travail was, as the Bible tells, forgot. How old, how commonplace, to look upon the face of your firstborn and glory in your lot. To look upon his face and understand your place among the unknown dead in churchyards lying. To see the reason why you lived and why you die, even to find a certain grace in dying. To know the reason why buds blow and blossoms die, why beauty fades and genius is undone, and how unjustified is any human pride in all creation save this common one. And John came home on leave, and all was joy and thankfulness to me, because my boy was not a baby only, but the heir to the Devon acres and a name as old as England. Somehow I became almost an Englishwoman, almost at one with all they ever did, all they had done. I want him called John after you, or if not that, I'd rather... But the eldest son is always called Percy, dear. I don't ask to call him Hiram after my father, but the eldest son is always called Percy, dear. But I hate the name Percy. I like Richard or Ronald or Peter like your brother, or Ian or Noel or Donald. But the eldest is always called Percy, dear. So the vicar christened him Percy. And Lady Jean gave to the child and me the empty place in her heart. Poor lady, it was as if she had seen the world destroyed, the extinction of her race, her country, her class, her name, and now she saw them live again. And I would hear her say, "No, I admire Americans. My daughter-in-law was an American." Thus she would well repay the debt, and I was grateful. The English made life hard for those who did not come to their aid. They must come in the spring. Don't they care sixpence who's right? What a ridiculous thing, saying they're too proud to fight. Saying they're too proud to fight. Wilson's pro-German, I'm told. No, it's financial. Oh, quite. All they care for is gold. Seem to like writing a note. Yes, as a penman he's bold. No, it's the Irish vote. What could I do but ache and long that my country, peaceful, rich and strong, should come and do battle for England's sake? What could I do but long and ache? And at last, like the dawn of a calm, fair day after a night of terror and storm, they came. My young, light-hearted countrymen, tall and gay, looking the world over in search of fun and fame, marching through London to the beat of a boastful air, seeing for the first time Piccadilly and Leicester Square, all the bands playing, over there, send the word to beware. And as the American flag went fluttering by, Englishmen uncovered, and I began to cry. beautiful upon the mountains, how beautiful upon the downs, how beautiful in the village post office, on the pavements of towns, how beautiful in the huge print of newspapers, beautiful while telegraph wires hum, while telephone bells wildly jingle the news that peace has come at last, that all wars cease. How beautiful upon the mountains are the footsteps of the messengers of peace. In the depth of the night, when the old house was sleeping, I lying alone in a desolate bed, heard soft on the staircase a slow footstep creeping, the ear of the living, the step of the dead. In the depth of the night, betwixt midnight and morning, a step drawing near on the old oaken floor, on the stair, in the gallery, the ghost that gives warning of death by that heart-breaking sigh at my door. Bad news is not broken by kind, tactful word. The message is spoken ere the word can be heard. The eye and the bearing, the breath make it clear, and the heart is despairing before the ears hear. I do not remember the words that they said. Killed, Douay, November, I knew John was dead. All done and over that day long ago, the white cliffs of Dover. Little did I know. Nanny brought up my son as his father before him, austere on questions of manners, habits, and food, generously yielding a mother's right to adore him, thinking that mothers never did sons much good, bringing him up much better than I could do it, teaching him to be civil and manly and cool in the face of danger, and then before I knew it, the time had come for him to go off to school, to be rid of women's teaching, set on the road to manhood at 7 years old, into a world where a mother's hands vainly reaching will never more clasp and comfort and hold. Rabbits in the park scuttling as we pass, little white tails against the green grass. Next time, Mother, I really must bring my gun. I know you don't like shooting, but John's own son, that blonde, bowed face, those clear, steady eyes, hard to be certain that the dead don't rise. Jogging on his pony through the autumn day, bad year for fruit, Mother, but good salt hay. Bowling for the village as his father had before, coming home at evening to read the cricket score, back to the old house where they had begun, just as his father and his grandfather had done. Later than many, earlier than some, I knew the die was cast, that war must come, that war must come. Night after night I lay, steeling a broken heart to face the day when he, my son, would tread the very same path that his father trod. When the day came, I was not steeled, not ready. Foolish, wild words issued from my lips. My child, why should you die for England too? He smiled. Is she not worth it if I must, he said. John would have answered yes. But John was dead. Is she worth dying for? My love, my one and only love, had died, and now his son asks me, his alien mother, to assay the worth of England to mankind today. I thought of my father's deep traditional wrath against England, the redcoat bully, the ancient foe, that second reaping of hate, that aftermath of a ruler's folly and ignorance long ago. Long, long ago. Yet who can honestly say England is utterly changed? Not I, not I. Arrogance, ignorance, folly are here today, and for these my son must die? I thought of these years, these last dark, terrible years, when the rulers of England bade the English believe lies as the price of peace, lies and fears, lies that corrupt and fears that sap and deceive. Rulers of England, for them must I send out my only son to die? And then, I thought of the history of Englishmen, of Queen Elizabeth stepping down over the stones of Plymouth town to greet the men who had sailed away from Rocky Inlet and Wooded Bay, free men, undisciplined, uncontrolled, some of them pirates, all of them bold, feeling their fate was England's fate, coming to save it a little late, much too late for the easy way, much too late, and yet never quite too late to win in that last worst fight. Men who have governed England know that dreadful line that they may not pass. Even Elizabeth long ago, honored and loved and bold as brass, daring and subtle, arrogant, clever, yet even the great Elizabeth never dared oppose the sullen might of the English standing upon a right. And were they not English, our forefathers? Never more English than when they shook the dust of her sod from their feet forever, angrily seeking a shore where in his own way a man might worship his God. Never more English than when they dared to be rebels against her. That stern, intractable sense of that which no man can stomach and still be free, writing when in the course of human events, writing it out so all the world could see whence come the powers of all just governments. The tree of liberty grew and changed and spread, but the seed was English. I am American bred. I have seen much to hate here, much to forgive. But in a world where England is finished and dead, I do not wish to live.
The poem you've just heard read is The White Cliffs by Alice Duer Miller. It is interpreted by the distinguished actress, Miss Lynn Fontanne, currently co-starring with her husband, Mr. Alfred Lunt, in Robert Sherwood's moving play, There Shall Be No Night. Original music was composed and conducted by Dr. Frank Black. This performance is the second given by Miss Fontanne of Mrs. Miller's poem, and was presented because of the overwhelming popular demand that followed its original reading on October 13th. This is the National Broadcasting Company, RCA Building, Radio City, New York.